Okay, hi everyone. Okay, so the next program is a male and female percentages program. So the program wants us to ask the user for the number of male and the number of females registered in the class. So, and basically the program is going to display the percentage of males and the percentage of females in the class. And it's given us a hint by saying that suppose there are 8 males and 12 females in the class. Now there are going to be 20 students in the class. So the percentage of males can be calculated as 8 divided by 20, which is going to be 0.4 or 40%. And the same thing for females is going to be 12 out of 20 students, which is 0.6 or 60%. So before I start, let me just use a comment again I do this sometimes just to get the math a bit clear. So I'll use a comment just to explain how they did the calculation. And it's a ratio and proportion problem. So let me just do this so it's a bit clear. So for this example, right, the total number of students were 20, right? So 20 is the total number of students. So okay, so if 20 students is equal to 100%, then 8 out of 20 students. So 8 plus 12 is 20. Yeah, 8 boys and 12 girls, or 8 men and 12 women. So 8 out of 20. Now 8 students is going to give us what? Okay, and the way ratio proportion works again is, I'm saying again because I did this in previous videos. So if 20 is 100%, 8 students is obviously going to give us a lesser percentage. So the way ratio and proportion works is this: if 8 is going to give us less, then more divides. Then you're going to divide by the more. So if less, more divides. If more, less divides. So now 8 students is going to give us a lesser percentage. So if less, more divides. And what I mean by more divides is this. That means the 20, the more, is going to go under 8. So it's going to be 8 over 20 times 100. If this was, let's say, 21, obviously 21 students is going to give us a bigger percentage, because 20 is 100, 21 is going to give us a bigger percentage. So if this is going to give us more, then less divides. And the other way is if less, more divides. So if this is going to give us more, then less divides. And what I mean by less divides is 20, the less is going to go under 21. So it's going to be 21 over 20 times 100. So if you realize, I'm going to take this back to 8. If you realize, both ways, we are always going to end up dividing by 20 and multiplying by 100. And that's how come he got 8 divided by 20. That gives you 0.4. But 0.4 times 100 gives you 40. Okay. Same thing for the girls. So if, again, 20 students is 100%, then 12 out of 20 students is what percentage? So the same idea. If 20 is 100, then 12 obviously will give us a lesser percentage. So if less, more divides. So what I mean by that is more, which is 20, is going to go under the 12. So it's going to be 12 over 20 times 100. If this was, let's say, 50 students, if 20 is 100, then 50 is going to give us a bigger percentage. So if more, less divides. And what I mean by less divides is 20, the less, is going to go under 50. So it's going to be 50 over 20 times 100. So I'm going to take it back to 12. So if 20 is 100, then 12 obviously is going to give us less. So if less, more divides. More divides. The more is going to go under the 12. So it's going to be 12 over 20 times 100. So that's why the author got 12 over 20, which gives you 0.6, but multiplied by 100 gives you 60. So I'm sure some of you know this, and I just wanted it to be clear. That's why I do it like this. But we're going to use the idea. So if you realize, we're always going to divide by 20 and multiply by 100, always, whether this is less or more. Whether this is less or more, we're always going to divide by 20 and multiply by 100. So that's what we're going to do to find the percentages. So let's start the program. Sorry for the over-explanation. I just wanted it to be clear. Okay, so, well, I don't really see it as over-explaining myself. My goal is to try to make it clear. So, yeah. Okay, so I'll create a class, public class, and I'll call it male. Oops. And female percentages, and then main method. So we're going to declare some variables. Since we're going to accept input from the user, we are going to use a scanner. Or for this one, I'm going to use the JOption pane. Just to mix it out a bit. So I'm going to use the JOption pane for this one. So to use the JOption pane, we need to tell the program where the JOption pane is. And to do that, we're going to import it and tell the program where it's found. So it's import javax.swing .j capital O capital option P capital pane. So JOption pane. We don't need to declare an object or create an object, a JOption pane object. We just use the methods in the JOption pane class. So the first thing we're going to do is ask the user to enter the number of males and the number of females in the class. So to do that, we're going to use the JOption pane's show input dialog method. So JOption pane dot show input dialog, and it takes an argument, which is the message. It's going to be, please enter the number of males in the class. And we are going to receive that in a string variable. And the reason why we are receiving it in a string variable is because the JOption pane always returns a string. So even if the user types a number, it's going to be returned as a string. It's our job to convert it back to whatever we want it to be, whether it's an integer or a double. So I'm going to declare a string to accept that input. So string, I'm going to call it user string output string, or string output string output string. Okay, and we are going to receive whatever the user types in here. So now that we have that in the user output string, what we have to do is convert whatever is in user output string to let's see, I'm going to convert it, I'll convert it to a double. Or okay, you know what, since the number of students is always going to be integers, we can't have 2.22 students, so I'm going to make it an integer. And then if we have to do some conversion, we'll use typecasting to convert it. So I'm going to store the number of males in a variable. So I'm going to declare the variable as an integer. So int, number of males. And so since we have a string, we have the output stored in a string, we need to convert it to an integer so that we can store it here in number of males. So to do that, you need this. So it's going to be integer dot pass int, and what are we passing into an int? It's going to be the user output string. And once we've converted what's in the user output string, we've passed it into an integer, we are going to go ahead and store it in number of males. So we are going to do the same thing for females. Just change this to please enter the number of females in the class. Number of females is going to be integer.pass int output string, but we need to create another variable for number of females, also an integer. So now we have the number of males and number of females. So we need to add them together to get the total number of students in the class. And to do that, all we need to do is just declare another variable, total number of students, and that's going to be total number of students is going to be number of males plus number of females. So now we have the total number of students. Okay. All right. So now we need to do the calculation down here. All right. So remember, we're always going to divide by 20 and multiply by 100. So to get the percentage of males and percentage of females, now we have to remember that percentages, are doubles. It has to be a double because you can have a 60.5 or 6.5%, something like that, or you can have a double percentage pretty much. Okay, so I'm going to declare two variables to hold the number of the female percentage and then the male percentage. So to do that, I'm going to declare that as double. I'm going to declare those as doubles. So double male percentage and double female percentage. So male percentage now is going to be, now remember, we are always dividing by 20 and multiplying by 100. So it's going to be the number of males, which is going to be this, we always dividing by 20, and 20 is the total number of students. And since we want this calculation to take effect, I'm going to surround it with parentheses. And then we always multiply by 100 after that. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the female percentage. So I'm just going to copy this whole line. Just change this to, female percentage. Now, let's see. I think this is going to work. I think this is going to work. We declared the male percentage as doubles because sometimes we might end up getting doubles, but this is you know, this is this is integer division. So that's fine, because it's fine because number of males will always be an int, and total number of students will always be an int. But the thing is, when you multiply by 100, sometimes you might end up getting, you know, I'm not sure, but sometimes you might end up getting a double. We can go ahead and make these int, but if you know that you're going to get doubles, it's better to do this. You also have to watch out for integer division. If you realize that some of these are going to be doubles, some of these values are going to be doubles, this integer division now is if you're expecting a decimal or a double, integer division is going to drop anything after the decimal and only return the integer. So, but because these are all integers, we're fine. Yeah, fine. And even if this was a double, we are fine because we declared this as a double. But if you declare this as an integer, that's when you have to worry about losing some values. So I hope you get me. I'm sorry for the rough explanation there, but based on this, we'll be fine. We should be fine. Okay. All right, so now we have the values. All we have to do is just print them out. Program over here said, let me just go ahead, you know, I'll leave this. The percentage of females can be, you know, so we've done that. Okay, so I think the program wants us to just print it. The program should display the percentage of males and females in the class. Okay. So let's make it look a bit presentable here. So I'm going to do system.out.print ln, and I'm going to say I'm going to concatenate it with the number of students in the class. There are total number of students here, total number of students. There are total number of students and concatenate it with students in the class. And then I'll concatenate that with the number of percentage of boys. So male percentage, male percentage. I'm going to put the percent sign right there. So if it's 20, it's going to be 20% of the total number of students, the total of all the student, of all the student. I'll break this. It's fine to break this. Of all the student. Oops. No, I need to concatenate it. I'm sorry. Oops. I'm sorry. Then I can go ahead and break it here. All the, I can put a space here, students in the class, let me see, are boys, and I'll concatenate it with the number of female percentage. Female percentage so let's say if the females were 30, it's going to be 30, and 30% of them are females or girls. You could change this to, you know, whatever you want. Okay, so it looks fine, and hopefully it runs. It should run, hopefully. So I'll compile it and I'll create a new folder for it. So new folder, it's going to be male and female percentages, and I'll save it here. Okay, so we have a couple of errors. Let's see. Cannot find symbol total number of students. Okay, so I declared a variable as total number of students, and this O here is a capital O, but when I was using it here, I used a small letter O. So I'm going to change that and compile it again. And there's also another error. Let's see. Variable total number of students cannot find symbol. Okay, so again I did the same thing. This total number of students here, this is a capital O, and I made it a small letter O. So I'm going to change that also and compile it again. And it run. Yeah, we fixed all the errors. Okay, so I'll run it. Oh, we have a problem. We were using the GOption pane to accept input, but we use a scanner to output it. It's fine, but since we used the GOption pane, let's continue with that. And the reason why I'm getting this thing here is because when you click on the cancel button in GOption pane, it returns a null. So this is fine. You can receive the null outside the program and use it, so this is fine. And also, anytime you use the GOption pane, you have to terminate it with system.exit and pass in a 0. This 0 is mostly ignored, but then it can be received outside the program and tested on to see if it was a 0. And if it was a 0, it's normally an indication that the program ran successfully. We have to put system.exit there to end the thread that was started by the GOption pane. If you don't end it, it's going to keep running, even if the program reaches the end of main. Okay, so as I said, we started with GOption pane. So I'm going to use GOption pane to output this. So first of all, I'm going to copy the output and delete the system.out.print, and I'll use the GOption pane to output it. Okay, so so to output it, I'm going to use the GOption pane show message dialog. So it's going to be GOption pane.show message dialog, and the message is going to be the message that we copied, which is well, it takes two arguments. First of all, it takes two arguments. The first argument is null, and the second argument is our message. Null is basically used more often for programs that also have a lot of dialog boxes. But for now, we are always going to put null, and what null is going to do now is going to center the dialog box in the screen. It's going to put it in the center of the screen, and that's your first argument. The second argument is the message, and we have the message right here. So of course we've terminated the thread that was started by the GOption pane. So I'm going to compile it and it run without errors, and I'm going to run it. It's loading up the GOption pane. It's asking us, please enter the number of males in the class. I'm going to put the example that he gave. I'm going to put 8 males in the class. Please enter the number of females in the class. 12 females in the class. There are 20 students in the class. 0.0% of all the students are boys, and 0.0% of them are gals. Okay, so this was what I was explaining with the integer division. So it's a problem, and I'll explain why. So what we're doing here is we are doing integer division, right? So we put number of males as 8. We put number of males as 8, and so we're basically dividing. We are doing 8 divided by number of students, and number of students was 20. So 8 divided by 20 gives you 0.4. But this is fine. When you look at it from the math point of view, it's fine. But the thing is, once you use this operator here, you're doing an integer division. Actually, it's doing it's fine. The reason why it's doing an integer division is because both of these are integers. Remember, we declared all of these as integers. Number of males is an integer. Total number of students is an integer. And if you use this, it does a normal division, but it's going to do an integer division when both of these are integers, and that's why we are getting 0. The reason why we're getting 0 again is also because when you're doing integer division, it takes it drops anything after the decimal point. So this results to 0.4. But because both of these are integers, it's doing integer division here. And it's taking just a 0 and dropping the 0.4. So I know it's a bit rough, but let me just make it clear. When you use this operator, it's doing the normal division. But if these two are all integers, it's going to do an integer division, and it's going to drop anything after the decimal point. So this results into 0.4, but it's giving us only 0 because both of these are integers. The only way to get back a double is that at least one of these have to be a double. Now the thing is, both of these are integers, so you can go back and declare these as doubles. But the thing is, when you're asking students, the number of students, they're always going to be integers. So one way to do that, one way to make sure this is giving us the right 0.4 value, is to typecast it to convert at least one of these to a double. And to do that, you use typecasting by putting the keyword double in parentheses in front of one of them. So now this is going to convert number of males to a double. It's not going to change anything. It's just going to convert it to a double. Okay, and this should now result in 0.4. We should now have 0.4 times 100. Now, at first it was outputting 0 times 100. That's why we got 0%. So now, because we've at least one of these is a double, it's going to result in 0.4 times 100. Same thing for this. Like, one of these have to be a double. So I can go ahead and convert the second one over here, or the first one. I'll do the second one just to show the mix. I'm going to put double in parentheses right in front of it. And basically this is also converted to a double. As long as one of these is a double, it's going to return the right value and multiply by 100. And since these are doubles, it's receiving the right type of data, so it's not a problem. If these were integers, then it would drop anything after the decimal. Because these are doubles, it's going to keep anything after the decimal, the whole value. So I'm sorry it was a bit rough, but I hope it makes sense. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and compile it and run it. Okay, so number of males, 8. Number of females, 12. Okay, so now there are 20 students in the class. 40% of all the students are boys and 40% of them are girls. So let's see why it's giving us 40-40. And that is because, let's see, there are total number of students in the class, male percentage. Let's look at the calculation here. So number of females. Female percentage is number of males. Okay, so that's the problem. So because we copied and pasted, because I copied this line here, we didn't change it. So basically I'm just doing the same thing over again. I'm doing number of females divided by total number of students. I'm doing number of males divided by total number of students, and the same number of males divided by total. So I'm basically doing this. I forgot to change this. So this is for number of males, and this is for number of females. Yeah, number of females. So yeah, a few problems here and there, but I hope you're following, and catching all the errors along with me. This is good. This is good because it helps you also, catch these errors, in future programs. And it's good also generally in understanding all of it. Okay, so now we are doing the right calculation. They're doing this. This is for males and this is for females. Number of females. I'm going to compile it again and run. I'm going to it worked. I'm going to run it and put in 8 for males and 12 for females. Okay, so there are 20 students in the class. 40% of all the students are boys and 60% of them are girls. So now it worked. It shook me for a second there. Okay, so let me just space this out a little bit just so that it looks okay. it basically works. I just want it to look good. Okay. Okay, so compile it and run it. So I'm going to put 8, 12. It's fine. So there are 20 students in the class. 40% of all the students are boys, and 60% of all of them are girls. We can change the values and see if they change with it. One more time, I promise. I just like to, see the program run, after writing the code. It's just a good feeling over and over again. And, never mind, don't mind me. So I'll change the values to 67 males and 400 females. There are 467 students in the class. 14, roughly around 14%. So the reason why this is not rounded is because we are not using any methods to round them, and those are in chapter 3 and going. But as far as chapter 2 is concerned, this is fine. So this is roughly around 14% are boys, and this is roughly around 85% of them are girls. So this works. And sorry for the errors here and there, but again, I hope that it was helpful in learning as a whole, and in trying to help you catch future errors. And I'm sorry also for if I spent too much time on one specific thing, but I just wanted it to be clear. So yeah, if you have any questions, please comment them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time in the next program. Bye bye. Take care.